Stop it!
God damn it. Alright, so for the VOD, we did have a little bit of technical issues. Again, as always, welcome to the Bull Rush. My name is Schmoogledorf, joined as always by Mr. Wolfman and the Warbot. We are here today to talk about the most recent fluffy patch. The Pakko patch.
It's so fluffy.
It's so fluffy, full of
It
hugs.
really
It's
is.
so fluffy.
Okay, let's relax for a second.
We had to make that joke. It was literally
Had to
internet
make them.
mandatory.
Yeah. Well, and everybody as much as I needed to make the joke in the Reddit post saying that it was an apocalypse.
I've heard the pun before, and every time I'm still just like, God.
God damn it.
That silence was both deafening and justified.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You brought this on yourself.
hilarious. Do
I know.
have-
What, however, are those
no, I
biggest
don't. Okay.
things that they're going to be telling us? You'll notice right away. Healing orbs are different. Got some new store items. We got a new freaking map. And a new hero. But those new store items, to me, are going to be the first things popping up on the list because it's kind of something I was expecting and waiting for, and it's also the first kind of, like, inkling of progression towards, like, that has been actually useful. Like, oh, you can actually purchase things that are useful towards your progression rather than just for buying new heroes. The crown boosts.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like we've been teased about this whole Founders Pack thing for so long. Like, I was just expecting it, and now I'm just disappointed. But, like, this is fine. I mean, I haven't bought one because I spend all my frickin' crowns on every single card because I have the most cards
You mean
completed
gems?
in the entire game. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I think
like,
boosts are like such a weird. I don't know. I dislike them kind of fundamentally. Like, I've never bought a boost in any game, and like I understand why they exist, but like I don't know. It feels. I don't know, and some of this is going to be on how they're implemented, but I think there's a lot of, like, with boosts, it's like, why would I get a boost? Like, if I was already just going to spend actual money on, you know, trying to unlock something faster, why not just actually do it? Like, just buy the thing.
this is a fair point. But
Yeah, and I feel like it's not really worth it unless you've saved about a number of gems anyway.
Yeah.
Because oh, excuse me. When you can buy a card and you can when you can buy a card and you get roughly the same amount of prestige bonus, or prestige and crown bonus just from completing that card,
rather than,
and then you get
getting the boost. So
just a double for one win, and then you have to save up to 140 gems
to get
just to
a 10 win.
10 boost. Yeah, I mean, it seems a little.
Yeah.
It seems a little weird when there's other things that you can complete by doing
Personally,
more cards.
I mean, this is just me. I don't know if anybody else would feel this way, but personally, I feel like buying cards should not be done through gems, but rather should be done through the purple drink. Sorry, purple drink. Yeah, it should be done through the purple drink, and anything else like skins, hero purchases, these crown bonuses or boosts and whatnot, that should all be done through gems. So that way, you know, specifically for these crown boosts, means that what you're actually getting with gems is, you know, unique to gems, you know, or what you're getting with crown boosts is unique to just gems rather than, oh, hey, look, with crown boosts you can get roughly the same thing you can get just by completing cards, and you can purchase cards with gems, so why the fuck would you even get boosts in the first place? So I think, really though, because I haven't talked to anybody that's bought a single boost. I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I
anybody's
think
done
we
it.
probably, like, odds are, like, someone probably has just for the sake of, like, being a good tester of the game.
Or because there are people that are like, oh, let me do this instead and see if I like it better than doing fortune cards, or maybe do it on top of fortune cards or whatever.
Or because they're full on, like I've had times where I'm, like, pretty much full on, like, rare fortune cards, and it's like, I don't want to drop any of these, but, like, I'm gaining money faster than I'm finishing fortune cards. So, like, I can't, you know, because, like, sometimes you'll end up, like, I've had ones where it's, like, half of my fortune card array is, like, specific character ones.
Or are, you
it's
know,
like, I'm
ones
gonna
that you
need,
can't
like,
complete, yeah.
well, it's stuff where it's, like, I need, like, 4 Sven games and, like, 4 or 5 voted games. It's like, okay, this is just gonna take me, like, you know, multiple days to finish all of these anyway.
And that's a fair point. But
I feel like you're not getting any. I feel like you're not getting any reward for your input until you get a 50 win. Just because,
yeah,
I still feel like you're getting the same amount that you're spending just by playing games.
Well, because if you're looking at this, Crown Boost 1 win is only 15 gems, and the Crown Boost 10 win is 140. You're basically saving 10 gems there. Okay, fine. 50 win is where you're actually getting the most bang for your buck, I feel like. Because instead of the 750 that you'd be paying for if you bought, 50 of those 1-win ones, you're only paying 650. It's 100 less. It's 10 more than you normally would be getting.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, with the 100 crown win, either A, no one's going to get and save 1,200 gems, like. I don't know of anybody that's going to do that.
Actually, Zero did, because
really?
he was talking about it just randomly. I was just in their channel on the Game Box. I was just in their art, just hanging out in their little art channel, and then Voxel and Zero were just teaming up because they wanted to, and then Zero was just like, "I'm gonna buy this 100 win boost thing," and it was just like, "Wait, what?" Like, I mean, but he had it, and I don't know if it's like. I don't know if he regrets it, or I don't know if he's gotten a good amount of stuff
because like the 100
it,
crown boost win would normally, if you were to buy 100 of those 1-win crown boosts, would cost you 1,500 gems. You're saving 300 there. If we're gonna do the math, lovely 300 by 15, you're getting 20 free. That's basically what you're getting. So here's my issue. Going through all that math and going through and thinking about that, my issue is that the diminishing returns on it, or like exponential returns on it, like. Isn't good enough, at level 10 I'm getting 1 free boost, yay, or at with 50 wins I'm getting 10 free boosts, oh man, or less than that actually. It's like, oh man, great, thanks, appreciate it.
And then you have to think about, like, you only get the boost for a certain amount of wins, and you can have an exponential amount of crowns won from your boost if the game is long. If the game is a complete and utter stomp, you're not going to get many crowns anyway, and then you're going to lose the boost, and you've got literally nothing, more or less nothing.
And
so like
I guess maybe one of the reasons why I haven't done it though is because I've never had any reason to have crowns anymore, because I have everything you can purchase with crowns. So I guess that's me, but realistically, I just feel like the crown boost in and of itself, like the whole mechanic around it, just isn't as useful. Or as interesting as getting fortune cards instead. Yeah,
and I think, actually, what would be interesting, obviously this is, Crown Boost, obviously, super new, like, there's a good chance they're going to get messed with. What would be really cool would be a boost that doubled the rewards from your fortune cards, or, like, gave you a chance to, like, get...
Or even just
it was like a fortune
boost in front, instead of being 2x to 3x. Already makes it more worth it.
But, like, all that does is kind of make it more, like, pay-to-win-ish. I mean, not to say that this makes it pay-to-win, but it's like, well, yeah, like, you could always be like, oh, yeah, it would be better if all of our boosts were 4x. Sure, yeah, like, that would make them way better. But, like, it doesn't make it a more interactive or interesting experience. Okay. Whereas doing something like making it so it, like, have a boost that only gives you rare fortune cards. Makes it so the lowest level is, like, the yellow tier.
Before we get insanely deep into the situation,
into crown boosts.
Let's remember that there's a whole lot of patch notes to go over. 2,
sure.
I just want to say that there is such a fine, brittle line between, like, free to play and pay to win. It's just,
especially with stuff like this.
Yeah, like it. I mean,
it's a rough line to talk about.
It's a work in progress, and I think that it's just stuff that really needs to be played with.
Exactly.
Honestly.
I think the next thing that we really have to talk about, because it's the name that we've given to this patch, is going to be.
Wait, no. I have one super short thing I need.
Okay.
I want to shout out that we actually skipped past. The in-game HUD displays respawn timers.
Yes. In-game HUD displays respawn timers, as well as spawn timers for power orbs. Two big things
I am so excited.
Like, asking for.
You have no idea how excited that makes me. Like, that was the one thing when I was casting at PAX Prime. It was like, I want to be able to talk about the death timers. Like, that is something that's, like, across every game. The amount of time, like, except for games where, like, death timers are so short as to be essentially meaningless. Like, Overwatch, they're, like, all sub, like, 5 seconds, so it doesn't really matter. So, like, who cares? But, like, in any game where your death timer can be more than, like, 10, 15 seconds that provides, like, strategic impact, you have to have that information.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
I
it's even been, like,
bonus...
a competitive thing where, like, I always do it. I still do it, even though we have the timers where in my team, I'll be calling out, you know, counting it down. I'm up in 5, 4, 3, 2, you know, I'll be counting it down. So that's a reflex from back when we didn't have spawn timers like that. No one could see it. And it even works the opposite direction. You kill enemies, and now you can actually see their spawn timer as well. You know when they're going to be up.
Yeah, and then that just makes plenty of room for tactical, like, retreats or just, like, movements, and just be like, they're going to be up in a few moments. Instead of pushing for this, let's go ahead and do this, because it's a little
and I think
retreat from
this is even more necessary than it is in a lot of other games. Because, like, I think, like, if you're talking about a lot of games, there's a very linear relationship in death timers. So things like, you know, your Dotas, your League of Legends, your Smites, like, someone dies and it's like, you know, proportion of time in game, you can kind of be, you know, like with League, you can, it's like essentially the number of minutes in the game in seconds, give or take a little bit. You know, it's not terribly hard to just kind of, you know, ballpark what the death timer is. Gigantic, like the death timer is so, like the formula for calculating is so crazy, like I mentioned before.
Yeah.
It's like, you have to have this because, like, yeah,
otherwise
like, maybe if you're like top tier play, you've like got a good idea for the formula just from having played like 1,000 games.
Yeah, like you kind of know.
Your average person has
dies.
no idea, and I think that's cool. Is the game has gotten so complicated, and a lot of the systems are so weird and complicated now that like you can't intuitively understand like how things like shields on creatures work or how the shield on the Guardian works.
Yeah,
or like we saw that massive power article.
Yeah, and they even made with the changes to. The Guardian shields, they talked a little bit about how it works, you know, nowadays. You know, with the changes to the Guardian shield, it's if they have 0 to 24% shield damage dealt by the attacking Guardian has been increased by a certain amount and tells how much. So they kind of go into a little bit of what the shield affects when it comes to at least to one aspect of it. So I think, you know, even just doing stuff like this with the HUD updates, you know, and kind of talking about in the patch notes, oh, the Guardian power shield generated, you know, damage stuff kind of works this way, is beginning this nice trend of Motiga's updates where they start actually telling us things when it comes to the mechanics in the game.
I'm so insanely happy about just that little bit of extra knowledge, like, makes such a huge difference.
Oh, yeah.
Even when it's like a what on the surface seems like a relatively small change.
Oh yeah, like I
want to know why they made this decision.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing is what it does is it serves as like a bridging the gap thing, right? Because like high level players are going to figure out those systems and do, you know, the data mining and the like work out, you know, go run around in like offlane mode or custom games and work out the like how high can I jump, how far to, you know, how much damage does XYZ do. And like they're going to work it out, and it's going to give them an advantage at high tier. But I think like visualizing that information doesn't necessarily make it makes it easier to go from a new player to a really good player, and I think that's an important thing.
Of course.
Sorry, I'm talking to the person in the chat there. But, you know, moving right along into, obviously, the namesake of the patch, which is where we wanted to kind of get to, because we're already almost 15 minutes in. I'd hate to be that person who says, oh, yeah, we're doing Pakko patch rundown, and then never talk about Pakko. So we're gonna talk about Pakko here really quick. We saw them talking about Pakko in the dev streams recently, and there's a lot of interesting things going on with Pakko when people kind of have talked about him, you know, outside of games or with games, and really have described their experiences with Pakko. What most people feel the consensus is that he's not the same level of physical tank that Margrave is, in the ways that people have felt like he's been described before. He doesn't have that inherent, like, physical tankiness. He has a lot of ability tankiness. Like, you can upgrade him to be tanky. Yeah. You can put down your heal and be able to tank through a lot of stuff. And his abilities that he has, you know, the abilities that allow him to do stuns and slows, and all of this makes him to be much more of an ability tank rather than making him specifically a physical tank like Margrave is.
Yeah, I mean, he's a regenerative tank, like, there's no doubt about that. And then, like, the fact that he's able to do, like, the fact that he's able to apply not necessarily hard crowd control except for one ability, but just the consistent amount of slows and frozens and everything, like it's just insane. He can do all that. And then his regenerative upgrades, like, I mean, it almost feels like you have to have some kind of poison on your team.
Poison
just to be
or a
able to deal
Zenobia with the upgrade.
Or a Zenobia with that upgrade. I mean, I think he's crazy. He's
really
crazy good.
And that almost seems to be the consensus across the most of the playtesters, is that he's too good, or he feels broken. I mean, we had Gingerbread Gamer in here not too long ago saying that he went 13-1 with 34 efficiency as him, which, I mean, take that with a grain of salt. You could be playing up against newbies, but, you know, we've had people, like, you know, in top-tier games. I played me and my 5 queue of people while I was live streaming playing against Art, and the enemy Pakko was just destroying us because he is that good, you know. Unless you formulate your team and your team's strategy around dealing with him, you're going to run into those problems where it's like, he's too strong, he feels too strong, and he will be too strong.
And I honestly don't think that's a bad thing. I don't think
it's a bad thing. I think it's something that needs to be addressed, though.
Yeah, but it's a point of... I feel like it's kind of like a direction being taken going into like this whole thing of being able to pick and ban things, you know, like I feel like of the latest few heroes like Pakko and Beckett and
Beckett not so much anymore.
Actually, I mean Beckett's toned down and that's fine. But there's still the issue of what was said in my interview with Sornai and Ed a while ago, saying that doesn't feel like there's any real way to fully counter her just because she has that jetpack. It's a maneuverability that no other shooter in the game has.
Yep.
So it's like, once you find a specific way to counter that, it becomes something that you dedicate to in your team composition. It's kind of the same thing for Pakko. Yeah, you can run Pakko, but you have to be aware of the risk of running into an enemy composition that has poison or has that heal, that null heal zone from Zenobia. And honestly, like, Zenobia's going to be in every single fucking game. Like, she's insane.
I think the thing with Pakko
strong on himself. So
I think the thing with Pakko is he's a little unbalanced, and I feel like that's to be expected, right? Like, this is not being pitched as, hey guys, we're releasing Pakko. It's hey guys, like, we already showed him off 2 weeks ago, why not? Like, let's just toss him in the build because like he's finished enough to, like, this isn't like Beckett where she was coming out with some expectation of being like in the roster and a stable, dedicated member of the team. But I think it's also worsening we're so used to these days having games that have like a very, very large roster of playable characters. So that adding one playable character doesn't like have a strong impact on the meta. You know, especially, and so I think we're still at a point now though where it's like, okay, so this is a regenerative tank. We don't have a regenerative tank in the game right now. So people are gonna have to figure out how to play around a regenerative tank. And yeah, maybe that does mean everyone now feels like they need to run some sort of anti-healing that they weren't before. Because like before, anti-healing pool wasn't a big combat focus because Vadasi was really the only person with an effective in-combat heal.
And I mean, Sven to a certain extent, but, you know, or unless you were playing like against an enemy Zenobia who was doing the healing herself build and was wrecking your team. But, you know, you're right. There weren't really too many heroes that you needed to say, you know what, I need to just stop you from healing. I need you to stop being able to do what you do. And you know, that's a little bit of the, you know, the issues of finding new heroes or playing new heroes or getting new heroes into the game. But a little bit of that is also, like you're saying, you know, these heroes are doing things that haven't been done before, that no other hero does. You know, like Wolfie was saying with Beckett, that Sam was saying, yeah, she has the jetpack. No other hero in the entire game has that type of mobility or that level of mobility. So that means that there aren't too many people that can chase her down and counter her in that sense. You know, with Pakko, there aren't any other heroes that can tank and take that type of damage in that way. Nobody else regenerates to that level. Zenobia to a lesser extent, but she's not built to do that. You know, she's built to be a debuffy support. She's not built to go ahead and just tank out tons of damage because she can regen a lot. She can do it anyway, but not anywhere near to the same level that he can. And that's the thing. So going into
I think this kind of puts this whole spin on like a lot of the kits of these heroes are actually really well done. That gives them some kind of unique standing that just makes them powerful on their own without feeling like they're just completely stupid broken. I mean, sometimes yes, but for the most part, a lot of these guys are just like it's so cool to see these things that are just being innovated. Yeah, you can say that it's because of a lack of characters, it's not really difficult to make something that's unique. But it's still cool to see that they're trying.
Well, not even just cool to see that they're trying, but more so that they're succeeding on such a massive scale. Pakko is a unique and interesting hero concept. Not even just on their own. Within their own game, but if you look at other games, there aren't too many other games that have a hero that's like Pakko in the same way Pakko is like Pakko.
I mean, I don't know. That leaves someone to because Region Tank's have been around for a long time. You look at like Lifestealer and Dota. Dr. Mundo and was like one of the original 40 League heroes, and like to a certain extent, Pakko is very, very similar to those. I mean, you give him some credit for being in 3D and like some of that stuff, but
and also how the meta changes with the other heroes that are currently in the game versus things that were existing in those games at the time that those heroes came out. So the game itself feels different. But I get what you're saying. Maybe it was a little bit far-reaching to say what I did, but it's really one of those things. It's like where you see these new heroes coming out that are like that. They are vastly different, and that's what's really cool about Pakko. Now, just begging the question now and asking the question, do you feel as though Pakko is going to be that one hero that is going to be picked and played in every single game, even past the intrigue period? And I hope you know what I mean by intrigue period. Where everyone's playing him like that.
Yeah, because he's the new kid on the block. He's the
new guy
of the week. I mean, I think before we get into this, I want to say that I feel it's a strange I feel it's a strange decision that they put up all this hype for Pakko being released. They showed him on stream, and like it was just like, yeah, the next patch is gonna introduce him. He's gonna be playable. He's gonna be free, and he's gonna be awesome. And then like this patch releases, and he's only going to be out for a week. And they're saying specifically that he is a prototype hero, a work in process. His final skills, balance, animation, sound effects, etc., can be changed. And it's like,
which I mean, duh. Like it bothers me to some extent that like they have to be like, oh my god, things might change. Yeah, like we've completely reworked Vidasi last patch, and she was one of the original like 10. Well, not completely reworked, but like they completely changed one of her abilities.
Yeah,
pretty much. And so like, yeah, like things are subject to change. It's a beta. Like it's I don't, unless they're planning on like taking down Pakko and he comes back 3 months later and doesn't look remotely the same, and all of his abilities are based around throwing piles of leaves at people. Like, sure, that would be a thing, but like.
I don't think he's going to be anything much, or at all, really. I think his skills are all going to be the same. I think how he upgrades is going to be somewhat similar. I think maybe how his upgrades happen are probably going to be the only things that do drastically change. If and only if, because when it comes to other heroes, those are the only things that have realistically changed. Let's talk about Aisling for a little bit. When she got her rework, her rework was very simple. We changed around the way some of her upgrades worked, or gave her new upgrades and removed other ones and changed the order in which they were. That was what they did to rework her. That was
that's
rework.
That's what they did to a lot of people.
Exactly. That's probably what they're going to do to Pakko if they feel the need to. Honestly, though, I don't think they have the need to. I think the only thing that really needs to happen to Pakko is that he needs to have some tuning done. Tune the numbers down. Nerf him on that sense. It's not a feel thing that needs to change about him. It's a numbers thing.
But that's exactly why I'm confused as to why he's only out for a week. I mean,
if they could change that.
But Perry made the perfect example. Like, Vidasi is still being changed, and she is one of the original hero concepts of the entire game since it's
and Zenobia's ult got messed with. Like, they've been completely reworking like entire abilities on random heroes in almost every single patch.
I don't understand why he would need to be taken out. Like, he's a prototype. Yeah, you released him. let us toy with him for longer than a week, and let's be like, okay, this is what we think needs to be done.
Exactly.
Like, he doesn't need to be taken out of the game just to be touched up and then brought back in later. It's just like being teased. Like, it's like what if they did that at like a theme park or something? Like, you go to Disney and this new ride comes out. It's a brand new roller coaster, and it's just like it's got 2 loops and a corkscrew, and it's got this amazing theme, and it feels amazing. The queue looks fine, and everyone's nice. And then like 2 weeks later, it shuts down, and like you're not able to go on that ride for 3 months. Like, it's completely irrelevant.
But to be fair, that works absolutely great for like Doritos. Guys, limited time Mountain Dew flavor.
Hashtag let my Pakko go.
Oh God.
Yes. Let my Pakko go. There we go. But realistically, we're going to see what happens to Pakko in the future as time moves on, and whatever they change about him, and if they change anything about him, or if they even do decide to come out and say, hey, look, we said he was only going to be out for a week, but yeah, screw that, we're going to give you guys him. Deal with it.
Yeah, and I think they might do that.
They very easily could do that.
Back to the original question, yes. I think that he is going to definitely be picked in some quote-unquote major tournaments, or the scrims that our lovely competitive teams do behind the scenes.
Yep.
I think that's less
just because Margrave and him are the only 2 real absorption front T line people.
Exactly.
There are others that can do it. But
not
this is
the same extent,
this is an effectiveness that is just insane.
Yep.
The only problem right now is specifically with Pakko is that there's one way to counter him and his regenerativeness, and that's the poison, obviously, as we've said before.
And Zenobia,
just
versus
alone
somebody like
stream.
Margrave, where you don't counter his tankiness. You don't pick a hero and all of a sudden he's not tanky.
He's got more innate armor. He's got more health. I think, I'm just assuming, because I feel like Pakko has less health like overall when you're not doing anything regenerative on him. But just like he's got more hard crowd control, he technically has more mobility. You could argue that because Pakko has all this counter mobility and then all this nonsense with like, thinking about all the statistics and everything. But it's just like, once Margrave's there, like, he's there.
Exactly.
And he doesn't really have to do much else just to be there. Like, he'll leap in,
and
he'll do a few extra things, maybe. With Pakko, like, you have to slide in, or maybe people like throw the snowball first. They'll throw the snowball, they'll get that stun, they'll slide in, knock up Frozen, throw the breath down. Like, you have to use your abilities.
Exactly.
That's the difference. With Margrave, yeah, you can use your abilities, but you're still there if you get in there.
Yeah. But, these are going to be things that, we'll see going into the future as to what happens to him as well. Because these are all very valid points, and we don't know if they decide they want to change something. We don't know if they say, you know what, these are very good points. He has a very much big open counter to who he is as a hero. We're going to see what we can do to fix that. But the thing that will be sticking around even after this 1 week is Siren's Strand, the newest map that everyone has been just absolutely just orgasming over.
They've loved it.
It is one of the best maps that they've come out in a long time. And
Absolutely.
I mean, we knew it. We knew it was going to happen. But it's one of those things where it's like, this map takes, I feel like, the best of both worlds when it comes to Canyon and Siren Strand. Sanctum Falls. The S things. Jesus.
Yes.
The Sanctum Falls and Ghost Reef both have their bonuses, where with Sanctum Falls you have the length of the map, the amount of movement across the map, and also very clear, solid objectives with multiple rotation points between. And Canyon has a great use of verticality with it within small enclosed spaces. And Siren Strand uses both of those great things. Large movement across the map, all of its very small, close quarters, and there's massive amounts of verticality and small, intersecting, multiple movement paths that create really interesting rotational capability. The whole map is just a breath of fresh air. Absolutely
I just
wonderful.
think the best part of the map is how wide it is.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you have this whole one side, other side, and your guardians over here, their guardians over there, and there's central points in the middle. But like, it's just there's
the
it
giant
feels like
ship
there's
in
multiple,
the map.
like there's a giant ship, and just like this whole length from side to side. It just leaves all this room for things to be done in this kind of map.
Oh yeah,
like Shmoo said, rotations. Like people can flank from the left, from the right. They can go through the secret tunnels in the middle, and like the guardian. There's like
eight secret
five
tunnels.
There's like 5 paths to get to the guardians on both sides alone, and then just like there's so
much to do. And one of the things that honestly, I don't know if this is a good thing. I don't know if this is something that they should be proud that they've done. But the map definitely kind of facilitates when going for a push, splitting up and coming in one at a time. I don't know if they should get kudos for that, but it definitely helps.
I love that so much. I think that's probably my one gripe with a lot of the other maps is it's actually that's probably the big thing I prefer on Ghost Reef over Sanctum Falls is that Sanctum Falls feels like there's really only like one way into the Guardian, two if you have a super jump. And I feel like that was the cool thing about Ghost Reef is there's really 3 paths. Like, sure, they're kind of close together, but there's like 3 workable paths that you can take to get in based on where you are. And if you're playing a mobile hero, you can kind of like try to juke around and pick one that isn't necessarily guarded.
Or swap in the middle, you know? Like,
yeah,
say,
and I think
on
that
Ghost
helps
Reef,
a
you
lot.
could be like going up the left-hand path and then realize, oh, hey, there's 3 people there. Let me just shoot my way on over to the center path and go up through there. Where I feel like you're right. I think that is a huge bonus, is the ability to go into the Guardian from multiple different directions. And that's the cool thing. You know,
well, and it's just a map with more options in general.
Yeah, because you don't even just because one of the things I heard from some newer players is like, upon first looking at the map, you'd think everyone would be fighting up a D. You'd think, or what do they call it, the ballroom or whatever?
Ship, I think.
Ship,
I think it is just
the central point. You know, almost everyone says, "Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure you just want to be fighting up there the entire time." You know, it's the only central point, or you're going to be fighting between the 2 front points. But that's never the case. One team will generally hold on to it, but more often than not, what you'll see is people actually playing towards the power orb sides. You know, you'll see people saying, "You know what? They've got ship. That's fine. We're going to attack their back point that has a power orb spawning on it."
Yeah.
You know, we're going to fight there instead.
And speaking of power orbs and UX, we now finally can see power orbs on the map.
Yep.
Hallelujah.
And here's the interesting thing.
I'm going to be the guy that always is going to talk about how UX improvements are totally necessary.
Well, I mean,
but, like, dear God, are they necessary?
I mean, it's a thing. Like, it has to be a thing if we want to get into this whole scene of going into competitive that we've been pushing for.
Well,
I don't even think it's competitive.
It's not just competitive, but I mean it
I
definitely
think
helps competitive, 100%.
I think it matters. I think it almost matters more in non-competitive that we have this, especially
I think it would definitely, how it definitely does matter a lot in non-competitive play, because I mean, what's the alternative? You don't give them any information, and then nobody knows what's going on 90% of the time. That's like one of the major gripes that we've had from new people in the game is like, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't. What's going on? Oh my God! My Guardian's moving. What is this?
And I'm at a point where, I'm not playing Gigantic like every day of the week, but I feel like every time there's a new patch, I jump back on and play, and I'm like, I don't understand what's going on anymore. What are these things? Like, now I have to channel my orbs when I'm collecting them. Like. What what's that creature?
I feel like that should have been a bigger announcement. That thing alone.
Yeah.
I feel like that should have been a big announcement.
That thing alone is just in the middle of just like, if we go all the way to the top of the freaking patch notes, it is directly below the crown boost images, and it's hidden in its like own little thing. Like, it's literally the last thing in the power gain sub tab of the first freaking like page of this patch notes. It's like, power orbs are now collected by holding the 2 key or the D-pad up. This is the same input used to summon one of your creatures and will not be able to summon to a point when available.
Which is so weird.
That is
as
so
a hotkey for that.
I'm sorry.
No. That was implemented for one specific exploit that people were doing, and I know exactly what it is because I've been a victim and a user of this specific exploit. there used to be a thing where if you summoned a creature on a point that was about to summon a power orb, if you got the summon before the orb spawned, that creature would still capture it, and it would always capture it because you couldn't move it because it was the enemy team couldn't move it because it was summoning. Yeah. So the creature would always capture it so long as you were able to give it some
Summer
kind of heal.
Bloomer, you know. That's like the issue with Summer Bloomer.
Yep. And then there are also other specific reasons, like how you can just sit on a point and then you'll auto capture it with either Margrave or HK just by fortifying because you can't be pushed off of it.
Yeah.
It gives more of this dedication of channeling the orb and capturing it.
What it's almost reminiscent of is the old gameplay style way back before they did the changes to the summons where you had to stand and hold your summon button to summon a creature.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, oh, I'm going to stand
Perry
here.
doesn't remember that, but we do. That was old as fuck.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think I was...
He was
I around for that? Yeah, I was around for that. I missed the eggs phase.
Yeah. The eggs phase.
But yeah, the other thing, and this is something that got
rotten so goddamn quick.
This was something that got brought up just like kind of in some chats I've had with people, is the other big change with the orbs is now invisible characters, because it's a channel, can't be invisible while capping an orb.
Yeah.
Well, okay. But to be fair, if you were capturing an orb before, it's not like nobody was noticing you doing it. There was a giant UI thing on top of you as you were doing it.
But that was a bug, though. That was supposed to be a bug from the start. You weren't supposed to be able to capture orbs while stealth. Yeah, that was a thing that was fixed, and then people just freaked out because main trip players or like main Amani players were just like, oh shit, I'm not capping this.
To be fair, we're talking about a game where, like, at this point, it's honestly hard to tell what's a bug and what's a feature.
Okay,
but
like, no offense intended. Valid. Like, when you're in beta, half the time, it's like, I'm not sure if this is intentional or just a thing that happens.
Yeah.
But I think we are in a case where, you know, the other thing that keeps getting brought up when it comes to power orbs is, you know, before, it took 6 seconds to capture it, but you could move around and still fire and, like, dodge bullets and stuff like that. Now it's 6 seconds and you have to stun yourself.
Yeah, my only two gripes with this whole situation is, one, I think 6 seconds is a little bit too long to dedicate to a channel that could be interrupted by
literally anything.
Anything.
Yeah. Well, with so much CC in the game as well.
And that was I think one of the biggest reasons as to why they changed how summons worked in the first place. Because, you know, imagine how summons are now, where you have to stand on the point for so long to wait for those creatures to pop up. Now imagine having to stand that long to actually put the creature on that point in the first place.
Yeah, that was
what it was. And that was one of the big reasons as to why, you know what, hey, look, it's like... now that's a dumb mechanic. That's a really stupid mechanic. By the way, we're bringing it back. Thanks, Motiga. Appreciate it.
Okay, and my
hashtag
second
thanks,
gripe,
Motigo.
My second gripe is that if you are summoning a creature and an orb spawns on that point in the middle of your channel, it'll actually cancel your channel, and you have to hold the button again to capture the orb first, and then you can summon a creature.
That's so silly.
I don't mind if the orb was there already and then you can capture it and then you summon a creature, but please let me finish summoning my creature. Like, please.
I know that happened to me so many times. Fucking, I was summoning a fire drake onto a point and they did that to me, and I'm like, I hate this. I hate this entire mechanic.
Just
this mechanic
please
sucks.
Let me summon my creature first.
And that's not the only mechanic change that sucks, though, this patch. I'm going to say it right here, right now. Screw the Beckett changes.
Okay.
Absolutely screw the Beckett changes.
You are the only one.
Matt. I am not the only one. Matt is with me on this one.
You are literally
getting rid of blast radius upgrade.
You two are the only ones.
It's a cannon. It is a rocket launcher that doesn't explode. What is this? I'm sorry. Who thought this was a thing? It is a rocket launcher that doesn't explode.
Okay.
So now it's just a cannon.
You're right on that.
It's not even a cannon. It's just like
it's like a cannonball cannon.
It's a slow shoot. It's a slow shot moving railgun, which also doesn't make any sense. I'm sorry. Railgun reminds me of the thing the Navy's making that shoots tungsten at 800 miles an hour. let me go ahead and get that instead. Like, are we kidding here?
Okay.
Like, Jesus.
No. Okay. Thematics aside, you are still literally, you and Matt are the only ones that do not
Why not
like
call it a
this
marshmallow
change.
launcher, please?
Everyone
Why not call it a
else-
potato gun?
Everyone else is just like, thank God, no explosion. It was the dumbest fucking thing that you could do so much AoE damage with a 3-shot thing, 5 shots of upgrade on the Q, which you should because it's smart. I don't know about any more because you don't do the explosion. But it's just like, you weren't punished for missing your shots, and no other ranged character has that except for Charnock because he's gonna get nerfed soon anyway.
He did get nerfed.
But I mean, he's gonna get more nerfed, trust me. But
and though Charnock, to be fair, didn't get hit with some of the major
I'm
stuff.
finishing my point. It is the dumbest thing.
I'm sorry, my name was mentioned. I get 10 seconds for rebuttal.
Have to aim. It is the dumbest thing that you did not
penis.
have to aim and still do almost your full damage. It was stupid. I hated it. And now I feel like I'm actually getting rewarded for landing long shots because it does 50% more damage if it travels far. Like, that makes sense. I like that. I don't like Beckett that much
shot
anyway.
was the only thing that was really cool about the cannon upgrades. Now, I have absolutely no reason to upgrade cannon. In fact, personally speaking, I have absolutely no reason to play Beckett. Period. Garbage hero.
Well,
done.
Here's the thing. Honestly, like...
Trash!
I'm so far removed from this, and I feel like I probably should be more invested in a particular character, but, like, this happens, guys. This happens. Have you played other games? Yeah. Like, every game goes through this, like, you know, oh dear God, this character is like the best thing in the world, and now they're shit, and then they slowly work their way back up again, and everyone starts complaining again, and then they're shit. And
like, never mind the fact that, oh, we're gonna remove the interesting part of Beckett, but then we're gonna buff Aisling.
Okay.
Thanks,
Whoa.
Motigo.
Whoa. Okay, hold up. You are stepping into the wrong territory right now. It is a buff. Technically, yes.
Technically, my ass, it is totally a buff.
It does not change anything.
It totally changes everything. All of her auto attacks are now cleaves. Like, you had to get an upgrade for that before, and now it's basic. Now you get even more upgrades.
From the beginning. Every other melee hero had cleave on LMB.
I don't disagree that it was stupid, but this is still a buff on a hero that didn't need a buff.
It was stupid enough to have to dedicate a point just to get cleave. Why?
Yeah.
No! Again, not disagreeing with you on that point. My issue is that she was a hero that needed a nerf that got a buff.
But she already got nerfed in the patch before. She's in a fine state, and now it doesn't feel like I have to waste a point just to do decent AoE damage in the middle of a brawl. Like, that's the dumbest thing. Now I can spend my first points into E upgrade, so I can be like, alright, I have a shield and I have a self heal and an AoE heal. Alright, I can actually be tanky at level 3 now. Like, that's the point of
because
playing
you needed
melee.
to be tanky with a hero who could kill you with 8 swipes.
That's the point of playing melee Aisling, though. You want to get in there without
one
that
rotation
shield
does
and
800 damage. What part of that is okay?
That is not okay, but that's completely irrelevant.
It's not irrelevant. It's somebody who can do ridiculous amounts of damage that playstyle has gotten a buff for.
She's so insanely squishy, and then on maps like Canyon where it's hard just to get to level 5, like it was so difficult just to be able to do anything.
Yeah, okay.
It was
I'll give you that
so
one. I'll give you that one.
To be able to do
and
anything.
while I will agree that the Father's Lessons / upgrade is a welcome upgrade because now I don't feel like I need to have Kador in my blade literally the entire time. My only counter to that is that the only reason I'm using that upgrade is because I got it. The only reason I'm having Kador out of my blade is because I feel like I should be proccing that for more damage. That's it. There is no other reason as to why I feel like Kador should be out of my blade. You know,
but Kador is out of the blade if you're playing that melee because it gives you more reason to use him. It gives you more reason because you're not.
Really
it doesn't feel like
though. Like,
But
all you're getting is 15% damage. It's not like his other spells are actually doing anything useful.
But they are, though. That's the thing. It's just like people don't realize how powerful the Q slow cripple is.
I get it. Like, I get that the Q slow cripple is really strong, but why would I go for the slow cripple when I'm fighting in a team fight? When my friends are already doing stuff like that for me, why not just keep him in my blade?
Okay, but that's the difference if you're doing a specific team composition.
Not even just a specific team comp. You know, like you were saying earlier, with so much CC in the game, why do I need to add my 2 cents into this? Why not just do more damage? And that's the thing. That's my biggest gripe with it. And even when I am fighting 1v1 against an enemy, the only time I'll actually actively try and use the Q on Khador is when they're running away, and I feel like I'm not going to get the kill. And at that point, why isn't it just a better option to say, you know what? They're running away. I've already won the fight because now I can go and push an objective.
So you're saying is you think it's better for Aisling, who actually can do engage and initiate from range with the RMB cripple, or the RMB and then Q to cripple, and then run in. Khador can start smacking, and then you use your auto attacks that, thank God, cleave now defaultly. Like, that was the stupidest upgrade. Anyway,
I think my major point here is that I feel as though the Khador-based abilities are not as, like, they just don't have enough reasons to use them in a fight. You know, using them to engage with, using them to chase after someone who's running away, okay, fine. But in a fight, there's almost no reason to ever pull Khador out of your blade.
Okay, by the late game, though, you're saying that a 10 bonus armor for allies near Khador and either a 15% damage boost or 30 healing a second is not useful? Excuse me? That is amazing!
Again, it's really only useful if you're not in a fight. If you're not in the middle of fighting somebody, because let's go back to the basic #1 rule of playing Mozu ever. It's Mozu, yes, but let's go ahead and go back to this. If you're not dealing damage, you're doing something wrong. If you're in a fight and you're not dealing damage, you're doing something wrong. And I'm sorry if you are using Khador, if you're using him in the middle of a fight, you are stopping yourself from doing damage. That's my point.
Shmoo, that's why they made this buff. So you can continue to do damage while Khador is out. That's the entire point of it. That's the whole reason the upgrade exists.
Anyway.
It's to buff melee is Aisling.
I want to continue this argument with you at a later date, but we're 5 minutes out from being done, but we're also losing viewers over this.
I don't understand your whole thing of, like, you can't use Khador unless you're out of a fight.
They got rid of the Beckett explosion, okay? That's why I'm pissed.
For what reason would you ever need an armor boost, a damage boost, and a heal per second out of combat? What freaking purpose does that serve?
Wolfie?
I don't understand your reasoning.
Wolfie, I'm going to ask you to sit in the corner now.
What the heck is this?
Okay, he's gone.
I'm done with this cast.
Here we go, he's gone. Okay, so anyway, moving on. Okay, are you good now?
So, okay, just to point this out. So,
oh, God.
Oh, yeah, no, sorry, that's my ominous Khador. Just
your ominous Khador. Oh, God.
I wasn't even trying for that pun.
That was good. That was good.
Anyway,
that was better than Apocalypse. I liked that one.
But yeah, no, here's the thing. Everyone complains about, like, XYZ hero being, like, super overpowered or whatever. And, like, everyone wants to feel... You know, you will have some group of people every patch that feels like their hero got slighted or, like, buffed or whatever. And that's normal, and that's totally cool. And that's always going to happen. I'm fine with it. The thing is... okay, straight off, I am not good at this game. My elo is probably utter crap. And there's the ominous garage door of doom again. But,
yeah,
like,
that's fine.
The thing everyone needs to remember is, like, none of these are as bad as Granny used to be. We're talking about, instead of, like, the previous range of, like, bullshit we had to deal with was, like, this big. Now the range of bullshit we're dealing with is, like, this big.
Granny,
and, like, yeah,
which means
you still
we have to get
bullshit
10 times more
builds.
passionate over this bullshit to make it blown to the equal proportions here.
I wanna go off. I wanna say this for really quick. I am not defending Aisling as balanced. I really do think that she is definitely powerful, but I don't think...
Broken. The word you're looking for is broken.
I don't think that this buff was without purpose and without reason and completely necessary. It is absolutely necessary. It might be a little bit too much, and she can be nerfed in other places, but this was... I like pushing forward to being able to use Khador while in a fight as melee Aisling.
Now, here's the question as we start kind of rolling into the last few minutes of the show. Is there any other heroes that you feel like the changes to them were either necessary or intriguing in any way?
I think Margav's leap change was intriguing. I think
allows you
it
to
makes
pass through
sense.
other players and creatures until he lands.
Yeah.
Really, what I feel like all of that was just trying to fix the feel of it. You know, like, oh, I'm going to use my E and now I'm not going anywhere, or I'm going to use my E and I'm literally flying across the map.
It's really just a quality of life thing for the most part with that one.
But I think the big one that was super interesting and super, I don't know if necessary, but really cool was the changes to Imani's focus. You know, where it used to be just the single, you know, piercing shot round where it just did all that damage, and now it's into 3 fully charged rounds that you can hit that increases its damage by 30% off the first one, 40% off the second, 50% off the last one.
I think this is a good change, and there's going to be people... I think there's going to be people who will drastically disagree with me.
There are already people.
Yeah, there were going to be, just because it was we messed with a character that is like niche, and I think that's gonna happen. But I think it finally gives Imani an ult that feels right.
Perry turned into an 8-bit game all of a sudden.
That was an amazing sound. I hope that is on the replay.
It's on the replay.
And I want it to be heard by everyone.
But yeah, I agree with you, Perry, that this change is like one of those things where it's like a change to a hero in a way that changes how people used to play it, and it's like, oh, this is my favorite hero, and now it's completely different, or like one major aspect to him is different.
But I know why they made the change. And
so do I. Because
I can validate this completely.
Thing.
Well, not just that. I was going to say it's because there's no counterplay to it.
Yeah.
Well, there wasn't that much counterplay to our old one.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, with this new one, like, oh, the shot's coming. Oh, shit, I'm taking a huge burst of damage. I can try to find cover as quickly as possible. With the old one, it was just like, boom, like, all of a sudden
damage.
90% of your health was gone.
And what it was usually used to, I don't know about any other Imani players, but when I would use it, I was either A, shooting at somebody who was pretty much standing perfectly still, i.e. the enemy Imani, or I was shooting at somebody who's literally 2 feet in front of me by slamming my F key and immediately hitting my left mouse button. I was using it as a quick scope shot, you know, to just all of a sudden I'm in the middle of a fight, there's a Taito jumping on me, I'm low health, boom, he's dead. It was Kindra levels of broken unplayability or uncounterability. Okay,
it was really stupid just to be able to do that because there was
does
not
it
really
do more damage or does it do the same? If you hit all 3 shots, it actually does more.
Yeah,
can I just
if you hit all 3 shots on the same target.
They messed with Griselma again.
They did mess with Griselma.
Constantly messing with Griselma.
Well, I mean, it makes sense.
Now her hands don't turn around anymore.
Yay!
Which I guess is good.
It was
no. That was not a bug. That was specifically for that upgrade. That was for that upgrade. It served the purpose of that upgrade. I think that it's smart. However, it's going to be really hard to play Griselma properly now.
Well, that was like the other night when I played up against the art guys and Failco was playing Griselma. She just didn't feel like she was as worth it to her team as somebody else on her team because, I'm sorry, anytime she put down her hands, what do you do to counter? Get behind the hands. You don't even have to do the old way of countering, kill one of the hands, now kill Griselma. No, it's walk behind the hands.
Yeah. And it kind of really forces her to play more of this defensive role, which was the intention
for her.
That was the intent for her entire kit and concept in the first place. But in this kind of game where there's so much movement, like I've said this many times before, I don't think that Griselma just belongs in this game at all. Like I really don't think so. It's just like, I mean. She can be played properly. You can put up a defensive area, like cover your bases, do all the things, like take control of the ship, take control of the altar, take control of whatever middle point on the map that you're trying to get at. You can do it effectively. But
I
it's
think
just
with
in
the
this kind of
evolution
game
of
where
the
rotations are possible.
Yeah,
where,
I think with,
where
especially with the new
rotations
map,
need to be done.
Especially with the new
Griselda
map.
just does not fit.
Exactly.
Griselda just doesn't fit.
I think we're seeing that
you have
kind
to
of
move so much.
I think we're seeing that kind of feel with the new map as well, where we're saying, oh yeah, one of the greatest things is how there's multiple movement paths and different ways to get to different places, and the game is becoming more movement-based and rotations-based, and everyone's enjoying and loving that. Griselda is becoming less and less of a priority, or less and less of a hero that fits into the general playstyle of the game.
Yep.
Everyone likes moving around the map. Everyone likes having mobility. Everyone likes being able to exploit the verticality on a fast and dynamic scale. It's kind of one of the things that I, talk to other people and they say, hey, what's the difference between this and Paragon or Paladins or something? Is the fast and dynamic play style that this game has.
It's definitely faster than Paragons.
Between everything. It's that sort of sense, and Griselda just doesn't fit. I'll agree with that. I think if there's any hero that needs to go into the vault to be reworked, it'd be Griselda, because she just doesn't.
I'd say Griselda followed very, very closely by Amani, but
I would say less so with Amani now because of the changes for things. I think one thing that they could do really to fix Amani, though, and this is me, I don't know if other people would agree with this playstyle or not, but do an upgrade, like a level 5 upgrade, and change the one where it's her scope shots no longer have recoil, and make it that your charge rate on scope shots is increased. Like, it takes less time to charge your scope shots. Do that, and she has the ability to rotate around quicker and get into position to do her damage quicker. Allow her to become more of a mobile hero. That's all you have to do.
Also, in the chat right here, Mr. Winfield, I never said that Griselda can't do damage, because she can. She absolutely 100%. Can, and it's a little bit insane. But just with the general feel of how the rest of the heroes play in the game right now, like, she just
doesn't fit.
It doesn't fit at all.
Exactly.
I don't want to sit at one point, just summon 3 hands and kind of tactical
and then take the next 2 minutes moving from this point to the next point.
Poke at people with my little handy walking stick and just be like, nope, can't come here. Sorry. I'm not a fucking janitor. I want to play a character that moves around, engages in fights, and does shit. Like this
janitor.
I think
Griselda's not a character in this game.
I think really the issue is that Griselda would work. Like, there are characters very, very similar to Griselda that work fine in games like TF2, would work fine in games like Overwatch. They don't work. I don't think she works in Gigantic. I love her as a concept. She might be thematically my favorite character design. Like, I feel like she is the coolest feeling character, because she's like this crazy old lady that has like demon monsters that like she can make them like pop their hands through portals and beat people up. That is the coolest concept. But she needs to be reworked so badly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that she's probably top of the list for heroes that need to change how she works.
Nope, that's Pakko.
No, Pakko is top of the list of heroes that need to be tuned. Let's be honest here. He needs to have some tuning done to him. But that is actually just about going to be it for us. We're popping up on that 1 hour mark of talking and being a show and whatnot. So we're going to kind of wrap it up. We have one last question in the chat. I don't even know if Griselda could be fixed. Skills that throw turrets around, make turrets short-lived, so you roam around with short bursts of strength, like HK, stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know what they would have to do to fix Griselda, but it's... Yeah. That's where it has to be. We did a good amount of talking about this patch. There's still more to talk about, but I think we talked about the biggest main points. We didn't talk about the fortune card changes with the tutorial cards, which are really cool. The badges being all cool and whatnot, but those are all really super.
I mean, the badges are all done and they look amazing.
They really do. They really do. And I like the changes to the tutorial cards for newer players, where you have things that, make sense, complete your first match and earn 25 kills, do these things and you get rewards. I like that because it helps people get into the progression system in a way where you can actually buy your favorite hero after 5 games. That's really cool.
Yeah.
But That is, however, going to be it for us today here. If you enjoyed your show, please do always hit follow us on Twitter. That's that down there at GG Unleashed. Twitter is the full Twitter. You can also follow us at our individual Twitters up above our heads. That's at Noirbot, at Schmoogidorf, and at Wolfman. And then if you want to watch more content from us specifically, I stream pretty much every day of the week. There are some days where I take off, and then some days where things happen and I have to take off. I will be streaming later tonight, so there's that. To Wolfman, I don't do you not too much of a streamer.
I stream every now and again. I'll kind of pop up every.
You can look more at his content on GG Unleashed.
He's a pop-up streamer.
You can check out his content on the GG Unleashed site, however, as he is one of our main writers, and he has some awesome articles on there. But yeah, that's going to be about it. If you ever miss any of the shows like Mr. Raging Panda has done, you can always check out our highlights down in our channel highlights. I always highlight them after the shows, and I also upload those highlights up to YouTube.
Assuming Twitch doesn't break again.
Hey, we got that episode on YouTube now. All of them are up on YouTube now, so we've got that going for us, which is great. But this has
I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, I am so happy.
Don't forget like things like our emails and.
Oh yeah, the Bullrush email. That's bullrush@ggunleashed.com. If you have any tips or ideas for the show, things you want to talk about.
Speaking of the email. Feel free to ask us questions. Like, pop in a question now and then and be like... Because, obviously, now and then we need something to chat about, and we would love to answer, your questions about the game and,
Hashtag
new segment like that.
New segment?
Ask Bullrush.
Ask Bullrush.
No. The show doesn't have segments. The whole show is a segment.
There is no segment, yeah. We might do that eventually. But this has been Schmoogidorf, Noirbot, and Wolfman. And as always, we will see you guys next time.